Honeymoon, a postmodern masterpiece. 3 years ago, but still to be found on his YouTube channel, Rick Knowles posted, "It's hard to be postmodern. Lana is postmodern." What did he mean with this statement? First, I was ambiguous about, but Honeymoon gives a clear answer. Postmodernism. I think about literature and architecture. Music? Let's talk about architecture. James Sterling, Neue Staatsgalerie, New State Gallery at Stuttgart. Why is this building postmodern? We stand on the sidewalk in front of the building. Go a step back. Or better, a few to the left. Now we stand in front of the Alte Staatsgalerie, Old State Gallery. It was built between 1838 and 1842. No surprise that it was built in the classical style. So everything is said. Now everybody knows as it looks. Why? Because this style has clear rules. The architect is limited. He cannot do what he wants. Nobody would have accepted this at this time. Of course, there are columns. And of course, no Doric columns. And Sterling? Go back and keep in mind that the New State Gallery is postmodern. How does this building look like? Nobody knows. It's postmodern. Sandstone, concrete, steel, glass. Pure stone, blue, red, green, pink paint, craggy edges, soft curves, and much more you can discover in this building. And quotations. Only to mention the rotunda, from Carl-Friedrich Schinkel to Roman and Greek architecture. This building is a puzzle, a labyrinth, a picture book, a universe of its own. You know it? If not, then you may be deterred now. But no fear, the building is wonderful. Again we stand on a sidewalk. We stand in front of a huge stone wall. A few stones are fallen out. 2 ramps are offered. Not really inviting, or? Every time I think about this, standing on the sidewalk. But this is not our topic. The point is, if you have climbed the ramp and an outstanding piazza opens, Naples, Florence, Giorgio de Chirico, the people love this place. It's one of the most important postmodern buildings of the world. But you have to conquer it. You have to think about it. It's not easy, not simple, but you will get a wonderful gift if you do so. The gift of postmodernism. A step back, literature. A fable tells you what you have to think. A classic development novel has a clear message. Robert Cooper, The Universal Baseball Association. The first chapter, the Genesis. The last chapter, the Revelation. My sensibility. Maybe you have the same, maybe not. Howsoever, the novel will give no clear answer. Only you can give yourself an answer. That is postmodernism. You have to think for yourself, to find your own answers. And Honeymoon? If Honeymoon is a postmodern masterpiece, one should be able to find the postmodern principles in it. No restrictions. But this does not mean, as many critics argue, arbitrariness and there be anarchy. Because no restrictions refers to the means that someone can use. But then the artist has to come up with a high potential for creativity. But why, if there are no restrictions? Because there are no restrictions. A classic architect knows what to do if he gets an assignment for a gallery. Columns, and for sure no Doric columns. A postmodern architect knows nothing at the beginning. He has to exert all his creativity, but gets therefore an incredible opportunity to create something totally new. No columns at all. And Honeymoon? Let's see. The following questions arise. Does Elizabeth Grant use all sorts of material, colors, shapes as Sterling did? Does Elizabeth Grant quote from completely different epochs as Sterling did? Does the listener have to conquer the work of Elizabeth Grant? Have to think about it as with Cooper? Does the listener get an explicit interpretation from the work of Elizabeth Grant or ambiguity as with Cooper? Does the listener have to find his own truth in the work of Elizabeth Grant as with Cooper? Does Elizabeth Grant create something totally new as postmodernism? Finally, Honeymoon, a postmodern masterpiece? All sorts of material, colors and shapes. What should this mean for music? Instruments? Honeymoon, definitely no. Emily Simon or Joanna Newsom, definitely yes. The music, the instrumentation on Honeymoon is very reduced. Just think of the title song. The voice? Yes. Always her voice unfolds huge array of colors and shapes. Certainly, one can ask if Honeymoon is the best example therefore, but Honeymoon is my topic now. And to be fair, I still tend to ultraviolence. But the point is that her voice, her instrument, allows her to conceive an enormous diversity of structures. My metaphor, the New State Gallery, does not work in the sense that Honeymoon is a building as such. Let Honeymoon be the wall and the ramps, ultraviolence the piazza, Paradise the rotunda, and so on. And now I hope the metaphor makes more sense and it becomes vivid what I would like to express. If not, listen to Lana Del Rey aka Alyssa Grant or Sirens, Money Honey. Her voice hardly knows any restriction, more than we think. Stolen songs. Quote from completely different epochs. What should this mean for music? Musical styles. Two possibilities, in music and in the text. In music, Lana Del Rey, yes. Elizabeth Grant, yes. In the text, Lana Del Rey, yes. Elizabeth Grant up to Lana Del Rey, yes. This means for the artist as such, definitely yes. Hereinafter, I will talk only about lyrics, but would like to introduce another point. In correlation with Elizabeth Grant, one can not just talk about music. Think about her tattoos. At least literature must be considered, especially poems. Let's start disordered as it comes into my mind. Punk rock, Beat Generation, Allen Ginsberg, Walt Whitman, John Mitchum, David Bowie, Bob Dylan, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Vladimir Nabokov, Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, Lolita, Lou Reed, Jesus, Mary, God, Jim Morrison, Pamela Curson, Sid Vicious, Nancy Spungen, and to expand it a little, New York, Brooklyn, Los Angeles, Bronx, Las Vegas, motels, small towns, trailer park. Okay, that's enough. For me, this is the universe of Elizabeth Grant. Conquer and think about. This time I will use a song from Honeymoon as an example, Chance Loves You. I will not write about the wonderful music, I would like to point out something. Very obvious, the reference to David Bowie. But Terence? May you know some of the music of David Bowie? And may you begin to read in Wikipedia. You will find David Bowie's half-brother Terry. So far so good, but Hollywood legends will never grow old. David Bowie is old now and still creative. Or what should this mean? But I still got jazz when I've got those blues. Billy, Nina, not David or. And I still get trashed, baby, when I hear your tunes. David? I lost myself and I lost you too. Whom? David? Terence? What I know is I lost myself. Totally. Such a song wants to be conquered. You have to think about it. Or alternatively, to drown therein. Whatsoever, this is no pop starlet's ditty. You need time, passion, devotion. You have to climb the ramp, but then a wonderful piazza waits. Explicit interpretation or ambiguity. Everything said or only because of the ambiguity, a work as that of Elizabeth Grant is able to open spaces. You can lose yourself in it, like in the endless space. Have to find his own truth. Leave it all behind, let the ocean wash it away. Create something totally new. Who wants to answer this question? Later generations, as usual in the arts. Billy and Nina, Billy, Nina and Elizabeth, who knows? What I know as old man is that so many number ones are forgotten. Billy and Nina, they will never be forgotten. And Elizabeth? Unfortunately, I will not be able to answer this. Honeymoon, a postmodern masterpiece? Now I understand, Mr. Knowles. Lana is postmodern, and Honeymoon, a masterpiece? I cannot stop listening to it. As I said, your drugs are the sweetest, a labyrinth without exit, and I still get trashed, baby, when I hear your tunes. One final thought. Criticism and critics. The basis of a review must be the highest possible understanding regarding to the criticizing work. An example, Umberto Eco, The Name of the Rose. Who wants to criticize this book must have a state of knowledge, at least to some degree, of the state of knowledge of Umberto Eco. This means that a critic must have at least a basic knowledge of semiotics, philosophy, Aristotle, Occam, Thomas Aquinas, Wittgenstein and many more, medieval history, but also topics like crime stories, very easy Arthur Conan Doyle, but certainly not only, and to end up, topics such as the labyrinth. Be aware, this is just a first look. It would be an absurdity to criticize this book without this knowledge. I hope this is a matter of course. And Honeymoon? I have compared Honeymoon with the new State Gallery, one of the most important examples of postmodern architecture. Now with The Name of the Rose, one of the most important examples of postmodern literature. These are extreme comparisons. But is it not interesting that it's not so difficult to set them in relation to Honeymoon? Aristotle, Occam, Thomas Aquinas, Wittgenstein, Billie Holiday, Nina Simone, Jimmy Morrison, Sid Vicious, philosophy. Elizabeth Grant studied philosophy, more accurate, metaphysics. Arthur Conan Doyle, Whitman, Nabokov, Ginsberg, medieval history, American history. I would like to end. So if it's true that you have to conquer the new State Gallery, have to think about it. So if it's true that it would be an absurdity to criticize The Name of the Rose without the necessary knowledge, then this also applies to Honeymoon, not affected by the fact whether it has the same significance or not. Honeymoon does not have to be one of the most important examples of postmodern music, however. With you, there's only love, 'cause you are my religion. And all I hear is music like, leave it all behind, let the ocean wash it away. Honeymoon, a postmodern masterpiece. Thank you for listening.